Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Everything CPA and Private Equity. We're really leadership's team's resource for education to understand what's going on in this quickly changing market. And we're so excited today to have Erin McAuley, the Chief People Officer of Springline Advisory. And, today we're going to talk about people. And very excited. Phil,
Well, first and foremost, I want to say welcome.
Thank you.
And, one of the things that we were talking about a little bit earlier is, so you're not a CPA firm veteran. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Yeah.
And how you've been liking working with CPA firms so far.
Well, I really enjoy it. So my background is 3 decades in people and transformation, lots of different industries, financial services, technology for many years, and based in the Bay Area, so no surprise there. And what's a common thread is that especially in businesses where it's all about your people and it's really about that intellectual capital that each of those people bring, your people strategy is your business strategy. And so what attracted me to Springline in this opportunity was really in this particular industry, it's all about the relationships. And so very much it's a relationship roll up. And what you're doing is you're trying to not just solve for capital and AI and operational efficiency and all these things. It's really how do you find the best connections so that you can scale your people and scale your firm.
And so that is great about the strategy. So why don't you share a little bit about what it means to actually have a people strategy? Because I don't think everybody does even have one.
Well, I think at the core, what we've done is we've tried to distill it to a couple concepts that really just about everybody can get around. So one that you'll hear Tim talk about quite a bit is scale plus soul. So it's really looking at, as you scale, how do you not lose the soul of your firm, the soul of your people, the soul of your purpose and why, right? Your big why of why you were created at the beginning. The other concept and philosophy that we talk about is a big, small firm. So we believe that is going to be one of the differentiators in this business. And when I say big, small firm, what I mean is big in capability. So you've got a lot of different types of verticals, a lot of different types of services, right, that you can offer your client. So now as a leader, I can serve my client in a very different way because I have access to different types of capabilities, but small or local, right, in the sense that I'm still your advisor, right? I'm your person. I'm still here trying to help you solve your business challenges. The other piece of that is from an employee perspective, right? So from an employee perspective, what I love about the big small firm is I, as an employee, get big, as in, hey, we got buying power around benefits. We have career mobility because now if I move or I want to get into a different industry, maybe I worked in real estate, but I'd really be interested in shifting to construction or into maybe aviation or something like that. I have that potential. Whereas if I was at purely a small firm, I might not have that opportunity. But what you don't get at big, right, which is often why a few years after people have done the big four and realized, okay, I got the resume builder.
Heading for the hills.
Now what am I doing?
Yeah. Well, I
Check
say,
the mark.
I say, and I have a book that's coming out in about 45 days. And one of the things that I say, it's a shame that the big four, they hire about 75% of all the grads.
Yep.
They chew them up and spit them out. They work 80 hours a week. And those folks think that that's what public accounting is all about. They don't realize that a middle market firm rolls out the red carpet, that big, small firm. And by the way, I haven't heard it described that way. I kind of like big, small firm. You do roll out the red carpet. People are our most important assets. I used to ask people, who's more important, your staff or your clients?
Ooh,
and that's a chicken or an egg.
Yeah.
Well, some people think it's the clients, because if we don't have the clients, how are we going to take care of it and pay the people? But I think it's the other way around. Because if I take care of you, you're going to take great care of my clients.
Exactly. Well, and one of the things that I hear time and time again is, right, people, what they're missing is earlier in career, right? I'm suddenly in this, big mega structure. I don't have access to clients, a partner that's mentoring me, maybe a senior manager that's mentoring me, right? I don't have kind of that deep connection. I'm a number, right? And yes, there's all kinds of different benefits, right? But a lot of what we keep encouraging our firms to do is, hey, one of your very best pipelines is go back to those folks that you had a meeting with and they didn't pick you. Right. So they didn't pick you to intern with, but you loved them. They didn't pick you to, come after college, but you loved them. Give them that 3-4 years at a big four and then come back to them and be like, how about now?
Yes.
Would you like to get deeper in your career and more personal in your career and really have a close knit group where you can ask the questions, get in with the clients, get that early access to really develop yourself in a very different way. And I think to me, that's one of the best growth strategies.
That's awesome. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Because you came from tech.
Yes.
Okay. People, we talk, engineers and technology and whatnot, public accounting, what we sell, we get more of every day, hours, time, sometimes value. What surprised you, if anything, coming into this profession? Was there anything that made you sort of say, like, what?
He was what to people all the time. And anybody who's not in accounting, they're immediately like, oh, well, that makes sense. Right. So what I say is chances are you are keeping your accountant longer than any doctor and probably or a spouse. If that's not a relationship, I don't know what is. Right. And so it's interesting because the number of times that I say that at a cocktail party or my kid's soccer match, people are like, oh, I know. Joe they were my dad's accountant. Then now they work on our business. And I'm like, I know, because they know all the stuff, right? They're your guy. They're who you go to when you're like, oh, man, this sticky thing is happening. What do you think, right? So that was surprising to me. Just I hadn't quantified how much of a relationship business it was.
If you're doing it the right way.
Yes, true.
Because there are places, of course, where, hey, mail in your stuff and we're touching you once a year.
I suppose. That's certainly not Springline and not the firms that we bring in.
So, all the P type firms, right? It's about bringing value. So talk a little bit. We closed the transaction.
Right.
More than likely, their people organizationally was not up to where it will be after they work with you. So talk a little bit about that transformation from a firm from pre-day one to day one to 6 months or a year after.
And perhaps, congratulations, you just did a deal with CG, with Deb and Michael, and hopefully he'll view this and remember the days that he was a supervisor and I was a senior at Spicer and Oppenheim. But so it's relatively new.
Yep.
David's question. So now what do you do? What's your playbook from a chief people officer perspective?
Absolutely. Well, let me do a little bit of a reframe on your question. So first, we don't bring in broken firms. So we're not here to fix something. That's not the intent, right? And actually, during the due diligence process, we do something called culture discovery. So we do a culture due diligence process where we actually get down to the individual employee level. And part of the way that we do that is we have them take a values survey, a culture survey. It's white labeled, so nobody knows
who you're using.
We're using Barrett Values.
Okay.
So I don't know if you know them. They've been around for about 5 decades. They only focus on values and culture.
Probably someone you knew from in the tech arena that you brought in, because I've never heard that in the CPA industry.
So we used them with our first 5 firms to basically create the Springline values. So we co-created them. It wasn't Tim, it wasn't me, it wasn't somebody sitting in an office. It was quite literally all of our employees. So we had 375 people that took this survey. We consolidated that together and said, hey, based on what you told us, we've distilled this down to grow values, grounded in who we are and what we offer and the value we provide. Reimagine how we keep showing up for our clients differently. Ownership, as in like what we own and being all in and wholehearted. We're going to go after it fully. And it was amazing because it came from them, right? Immediately, as soon as I showed it to all of the managing partners and then out to the partners and eventually employees, they were like, oh yeah, that's us. I'm like, yeah, because you told me.
Right. Yeah.
All I did was codify what you said. And
Was
so,
there anything that surprised you the first time you did that?
I think that for me, the biggest surprise was how similar the first 5 firms were, right, in terms of their values, right? And it's important because a lot of times people, they have values and they're up on the wall, and then you actually ask these questions and you find out what the real values actually are.
Like, do they walk the talk?
Right. Or like, I mean, like there's not an accounting firm that I've met that doesn't say they're people first. And yet the decisions they make, the choices that they go after don't always say that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, nobody's going to come out and be like, we're not people first. We hate people.
I hate accountants. I hate these clients,
Right. But how do you actually assess it? And so we use that as well as various different techniques to get after what's like the real. And then we give it as a gift to the firms. So they get all of the results back. They get to then sit down with a culture coach independent from me and work through, okay, what do we do about this? On our end, we use it as like a match.com, but for, right, I mean, we're dating, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a prospective firm, we're dating. You're trying to figure out, is this going to work?
How do they feel about that? Are they afraid, like you're peeking under the kimono and really you're not there yet? I know you have an NDA and all that.
Yeah.
But how receptive are they to that step in diligence? And how long does it take?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I still remember Vivek, who is our managing partner for IG, which is our India-based firm, Infinity Globus. And he was like, I love this. He's like, how soon can we do this?
Tell him I said hello.
Right? He's like, how soon can we do this?
Yes.
He's like, I want to know. He's like, I want to keep getting better.
Yes.
Because honestly, even somebody's reaction to talking about this process in a way is almost like the first culture discovery.
And have you ever deployed this white label survey and decided they're not for us?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. Right. But it's not without a possibility. I mean, we've been very fortunate in many ways. It's like, it's like a next level gut check. And so we use it to not only make sure we get alignment, right, but that they have confidence too, right? And if you ask any of our other firms that are in there, I mean, to me, it's interesting to me. People spend so much time vetting who they're going to have as a partner when you're a compact firm. Why would you not want that same diligence and expect that same diligence of knowing, hey, you guys really, really vetted CG and SD Mayer and Infinity Globus. And so I know when I get in a room and I now have a much bigger partnership table that I'm going to be aligned with these folks, right?
And after you close the transaction, fast forward a year, do you then do the survey again to ensure that you're either getting better or staying the course?
We do a different version. So we haven't done the same survey as a repeat, but we do great places to work. We do best accounting firms, and we do various different like listening kind of tours and things just to make sure that, yes, we are on track. But the first piece really gives us the values piece of the puzzle, which is to understand as we're getting ready for integration planning together, right? Like past, where do we not? And we have had firms that there's things that it's allowed us to spot that we've said, hey, we want to get after this maybe a little bit sooner. Are you on board with that? And they're like, yeah.
And so why don't you talk a little bit about how you enhance the training for the staff, right? Because I'm sure this impacts everything you do, right? So why don't you talk about enhancements and things of that nature.
Well, exactly. I mean, all of these firms, they come with a great culture. They come with a culture that aligns with us. And then they're looking for, okay, what are the things that maybe we couldn't do on our own or get after on our own? So those are things like talent acquisition. So we have a professional talent acquisition group that is pipelining for various roles. We have LEAP, which is our top talent program. So that's for really getting people ready to be potential partners or firm builders in the future. And then we believe, because one of our values is ownership, in equity below partner. So we introduced last year basically a stock appreciation rights that allows people below partner to be able to get that value creation going early.
How was that received? Because that's, I was just chatting this morning, about how firms that want to remain independent are now going to have to compete with organizations like yours that not only say, hey, we're going to pay you a $150,000 salary. And by the way, once you're with us a year or 6 months or whatever it is, when we give you a bonus, you have an option to take it and essentially be an owner as not quite an ESOP, but to unlock the value in alignment with the same way the partners are doing it.
Well, I mean, this is where it's interesting, right? I come from tech, and all the way down to like an admin could get in, right? Either through an ESPP, or, buying shares, or you get some kind of equity grant, whatever it may be. So it was really interesting to me. And obviously Tim had already, sort of had this in his mind as something that he really, really wanted in the industry. But it was interesting to me that there hadn't been that within the accounting industry.
And have you seen impact on that as it relates to retention of employees post-transaction? Because sometimes we hear that, oh man, I don't want to be part of a private equity firm. I'm never going to be able to be a partner. I'm never going to be able to make the kind of money that the guy before me made. Right. And I think
that's the interesting thing, is that there's so now I think there's a lot of different diverse models, but I think there's a little bit of a pyramid scheme.
We agree with that. We believe with that.
For sure.
Guys, what are we doing here? Like, don't worry.
It's a house of cards.
Just keep lifting the boulders, and eventually you'll be up here with the fancy people. It's like,
after you give your blood, sweat, tears, and perhaps
20 years
and miss your kids growing up.
Right. Not to mention that there's people that are intentionally saying, like, hey, I don't know that I want to do that thing called being a partner. Like, that looks like a lot, right?
And don't walk me to the bank and ask me to take a $300,000 loan and give me a raise. And then even though I got a raise, you're going to take it away from me because I got to repay that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot.
I always say, be careful what you ask for.
Right. So I think, figuring out how can you get people invested and give them like a piece of the puzzle? How can you give them different options to be part of ownership, right? Because, it's something very different when, you start to have that common goal of, hey, each thing I do is like lifting our common share price, and I have some immediate gains I can see, right, in being able to do that, right? And so I think it builds a different kind of ownership, firm economics awareness.
Mindset.
Different mindset. Exactly.
You know what I think is so wonderful about that? When you look at your rank and file employee, one of the questions that we get asked most by firms that are contemplating taking an investment by, private equity, family office, whoever it may be, is, how is this good for my young people?
Right.
And the young people, again, in their mind is, I thought I was going to be David. Yeah. I thought I was going to be, the next guy that's making a 7-figure salary.
Right.
And now what does that mean to me?
Right.
But unlocking that value by giving, whether it's, stock rights, phantom income, some firms call them, management incentives,
Right.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because I was in public accounting and I was in the trenches and there was nothing like that.
Right.
But then again, I'm a boomer. Yeah.
Oh, very creative.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
So, and I think you were our first chief people officer, and I think this is great. And
I'm honored.
And it is a people industry, and anybody who doesn't invest in their team, and we see lack of investment all the time. So why don't you talk a little bit about soft skills? Because, we see lots of technical skills, and in many organizations, it's technical skills first and most important, and soft skills certainly secondary.
Right. And I had a partner, and I stopped using the term soft skills and started using the term smart skills.
Smart skills.
Smart skills. Yes.
I love that. Well, I think it's an interesting time for whether it's soft skills, people skills, future skills, whatever you want to call them, because as AI and different kind of technologies unlock more and more of the accounting part of accounting, right? Then you need your people to become better and better advisors, interpreters, right? People that are leading change. So they're bringing their teams through this, right? So suddenly skills like agility, leadership, curiosity, being a great advisor, business development, understanding how do you help solve problems for your clients and spot more and more opportunities, right? Those become more and more important. You can never not have the technical skills, but right, these other pieces are just as critical, if not more so.
And it's behavioral.
Yeah.
And it's teachable.
Yeah.
And I think everyone can learn and do more.
Yeah.
A lot of people, because of the nature of the accountant, have to sort of get out of their comfort zone because it doesn't come natural. But is what you're talking about, because you mentioned something earlier about like a LEAP program.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your LEAP program.
Really for these firm builders. So we focus on coaching skills. We focus on being a firm builder. How do you think about firm economics? How do you think about business development and problem solving with your client and being that advisor? How do you lead change, right? How do you look at different leverage models and different trade-offs around how to lead your team? And so it's really teaching them all of those different leadership skills within the context of an accounting firm.
Very interesting. So a question about the highest leadership in your organization, Tim Brackney.
Yeah.
So if I go back to the days when I was an auditor and we would go out and we would do an audit and we would be in there and, maybe on Friday it'd be like, oh, the partner's coming out. And our behavior was very different when the partner came out. We were kind of like scared because after all, it was the partner,
Oh, okay.
So have you done like any like road shows with Tim? And when he comes into a firm, is there excitement because this is the guy that makes ripples throughout the organization and I'm getting FaceTime with him or is there, oh man, Tim's going to be here, we better button things up.
Right. I mean, so first, Tim is a very approachable person. You've met him.
I know. I heard he let his hair down yesterday. Were you there? Yes.
Right. I mean, he's a very approachable person. So most of the time, so actually yesterday's panel was probably a more dressed up version of Tim. Most of the time he's in a hoodie with like some very cool kicks of one kind.
Yes.
Right. And so it's like immediately disarming. Like it kind of like puts people in a state,
puts them at ease.
Right? It's like, hey, he's here.
Yeah.
And most of the time people are surprised. Like we just did a post busy season party with SD Mayer, who's in
Love Steve. You were helping his not-for-profit with his books about educating. Yes.
My daughter reads them. She's 12. I can't.
I love it. If you, next time you
Yeah.
speak with Steve, tell him Phil sends his
Oh,
best
I
friend.
will.
Last year he was here. We had him at a dinner. I had dinner with him. Yeah.
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 Well, I thought it was interesting because after the busy season party, right? So we did a little bit of a, Tim kind of talking about strategy and kind of casual conversation. And then we all went out and they were surprised if then all of us stayed for the after party and just like grabbed beers and hung out with people. Like I quite literally had a partner say, well, I can't believe you guys are here. Like you don't even know us. I'm like, well, that's why I'm here.
Yeah. And you want to know something?
Want to know you.
You, as an organization, should be extremely proud
Oh, thank you.
because when I spoke with Steve, Steve was fiercely independent. And, he left BPM. He
Yeah.
was the M in BPM. And he started this business and he grew a very nice business.
Oh, yeah.
And he was fiercely independent. So some conversation he had with Tim really unlocked like a Fort Knox kind of vault of,
Right.
I'm not going to do this with my firm. And what we do find, Erin, is that firms are fiercely independent
Right.
until the Tim comes along or someone and they see maybe there really is a better way.
Right. I mean, Josh Beck talks about it as like, iron sharpens iron, right? So you get these really fabulous managing partners, all part of our advisory council, right? At least the way we approach it, it's very much a founding of a firm together. So for example, even LEAP, our top talent program, right? I'm taking their feedback, coming up with a concept, coming back and being like, is this what you want us to build? Did I get it right? Right. And then they're part of it. We have partners and managing partners coming in, speaking to participants. And so if it's not hitting the mark that they need, I'm not doing my job.
Mhm.
Right. So it very much is like a founding of a new kind of firm. And so I think that's what really attracts people is that this isn't, it's very different if what you're doing is more like a bank relationship where it's like, hey, I'm going to get a little bit of capital. You're going to give me 1, 2, 3 services, and then you're going to stay out of my way. And that's fine. That's a jest for some people.
But that's not your model.
Works for that.
And that's not smart capital.
Right.
So, Erin, as we wrap this up, and this was great, and love people strategy, right?
Yeah.
What a huge, powerful, and simple concept in some ways. Is there anything, final thoughts you'd like to share?
He is just getting to work with much smarter people than I all around the table and figuring out how can I help maximize what they're up to. I adore what we're building in terms of a big, small firm and how we approach that in every single decision together. I appreciate that scale with soul is not a tagline. It's how we operate. It's how we show up. And I think that's what attracts a certain type of individual that wants to work in these firms and a certain type of managing partner that wants to co-found Springline with us.